What is up, guys? My name is Ryan here. Welcome back, and today we are going to talk about Resident Evil Vendetta. Now, this movie has finally appeared, and it is so far really good. Now, it just only showed up in my country, and it was really good. However, there is some disadvantage and advantage about this movie. There is some downside, and there is some good side about it. Now, before we go any further, let me talk about the comparison between the two other animation movies, other Resident Evil animation, which has got to do with Damnation, which I gotta show you. Let me just go for Damnation. There's actually two, Damnation and Damnation full movie images, and Resident Evil Degenerate. So these two animation was actually created. Resident Evil Degenerate actually came out in 2008. Resident Evil, let me just go for Vendetta, then I may just edit a little bit Vendetta, and then I'll go for the Degenerate. Degeneration. So Degeneration also is quite good. So now this is Resident Evil Degeneration, which came out in 2008. This is Resident Evil Damnation, which came out in 2012. Now let's start off with comparing this throughout one, which is 2008, 2012, and 2017. Sorry about this one, because this is my percentage point on how much I'm rating this movie. So right now, let us talk the difference between Resident Evil Vendetta and Degeneration and Damnation. So first off, let's start with Degeneration. Now, obviously, Degeneration was good because back in 2008, the animation wasn't that great, but however, the storyline was really good. How they portray the storyline, it was super nice. It wasn't the best, and it wasn't really that great, but there is a sense of strong storyline to it. However, there are certain scenes like the combat scenes and many more. It was very bland. It was very boring. It doesn't really have enough spark to it. However, compared to Resident Evil Vendetta, Resident Evil Vendetta has more spark to it, has more action to it, and it is also improved. So this is the difference between Resident Evil Damnation and Resident Evil Vendetta. Now, Resident Evil Vendetta, the storyline is also quite good, but I'll talk more on the downside a little bit here. Now, the downside is that the storyline is slightly a little bit dull. It doesn't really have enough strong power sensation in it. Like, doesn't have the urge, like, how do you say, the satisfaction with it. It's not there. So that's the one thing I just dislike about Resident Evil Vendetta. No, even though the story is just slightly good, but it doesn't really have enough power in it. However, Resident Evil Damnation and Resident Evil Degeneration, the storyline is good. It has something in it, and also the animation was also slightly better. Was also quite good. But for Resident Evil Vendetta, it is way better. It is even better, and so is the action. The action in Vendetta is way better. Now let's talk with Resident Evil Vendetta comparing with Damnation this time. Now, comparing with Damnation and Vendetta, I've watched Damnation before. I've also watched Degeneration before. But Degeneration I watched really little, so I didn't actually did much of the study with it. So, oh yeah, before we start anything, I won't put any spoils to it. I'll just give you my thoughts about how good the story is, how good the movie is, and stuff like that. So let's continue. Now, Resident Evil Damnation compare with Resident Evil Vendetta. Story-wise, Resident Evil Damnation kind of is way better than Degeneration and Vendetta. It's somehow in the leading way. There is a lot of interesting things about Damnation. However, Damnation has very poor environmental feels to it. Now, Damnation, yes, there is quite a good solid combat in this movie, like a very good small amount of how do I say, a very small amount of excitement on the action part. However, there is a little bit of a dull here and there, and it is got to do with the environment. Now, when Leon, because Damnation, Leon and Ada Wong appears, but for Degeneration, Claire Redfield and Leon somehow appears, and another side character who is an unknown character. So in Damnation, it was really kind of dull in certain areas, especially environmental areas. It was really dull. It wasn't really that interesting. It wasn't really that creative as well. However, the action scenes is good, but there are some moments where it's really boring. However, the story of it is also supreme. So Damnation is actually really good with the story. Degeneration is also really good, but compared with Degeneration and Damnation, Damnation is on the lead when it comes to story. Now, the animation part, comparing with the Vendetta and Resident Evil Damnation's animation, I would say Resident Evil Vendetta still takes the lead. However, when it comes to face animation, lip syncing, and how the characters' emotional look kind of expressed to us, Damnation is interesting because Damnation has managed to prove us that their facial expression is really good. But when it comes to Vendetta, Resident Evil Vendetta, the facial expression wasn't that great. Now I've got to talk about Degeneration's facial expression and how they animated their mouth and their face. Overall, Degeneration and Damnation, both of them, their facial expression, it's really good. But for Vendetta, it's the downfall part. Now, one thing that I would say, Resident Evil Vendetta, kind of like the animation is good, but only when it comes to talking. Like example, when Chris talks to Leon, or when Chris is discussing a situation with Leon with who is her name again, Rebecca, in front, the camera just zooms into Chris's face or Leon's face. It felt like there's something wrong with Chris's face. Like there is some moment in Resident Evil Vendetta, like there are some scenes where, especially the cafe scene, or the restaurant scene where he has to deal with this weird spy. I don't want to keep spoiling for you guys. He kind of smiled for no reason. I don't know if he was smiling or he was taking it really serious, but he wasn't really like I would say it was really weird how Chris was showing that kind of expression. It was really weird. So here I'm gonna let you guys watch on YouTube. I'm going to YouTube, and I'm going to go Resident Evil Vendetta. Resident Evil Vendetta, and I'm going to show you some parts of the some parts of it which you might understand it's a little bit weird. So I'm not going to play with the sound here. Okay, let's say this part. I'm going to play it's really slow here because I need to let you guys analyze a little bit here and there. So there are some scenes like this guy. Okay, this scene, he's smiling a little bit, like the kind of like enjoyable kind of feel to it. Look at his face. Look at his face. And the voice actor as well. Okay, let's talk about the voice actor this time. I forgot to mention. Now, Resident Evil Degeneration's voice actor is really good compared to Resident Evil Vendetta. Now, Leon's voice actor in Degeneration is good. Claire Redfield's voice actor is good. However, when it comes to Resident Evil Vendetta, Rebecca's voice actor is excellent. Leon's voice actor is still the same and also really good. But Chris's voice actor sucks. Like really terrible. Now Chris's problem is the voice actor. He's not so gruffy like Resident Evil 4, the kind of voice actor who has that kind of pride with that kind of military voice, that kind of that kind of gruff to it. Now in Resident Evil Vendetta, Chris's voice actor did not really do a good job. It felt like it's so weak. Like he's like a full bodybuilding, like he's so muscular, but has a very squeaky like pussy voice, that kind of thing. I don't know. I shouldn't say. I would say it's okay, but it felt really disappointing a little bit because the I was hoping that the voice actor had a little bit more of a military, more badass kind of voice actor, more like how do you say, John Cena voice, more like that. But no, instead they kind of like hire another voice actor. I'm not sure if it's the same voice actor, but probably not, in my opinion. So write in the comment section below who the voice actor is for Chris Redfield on Resident Evil Vendetta. Now, I also like to point this out. Resident Evil Vendetta. Now, a lot of my friends said that, hey, Resident Evil Vendetta could be connected to Resident Evil 7. No, it is not connected. It is so not connected at all. Now, because why I say it's not connected is because, first of all, Resident Evil 7 is a whole new thing. It's a whole new threat. But for Resident Evil Vendetta, it's also a whole new threat, but it's somehow separated from Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. Now, it is far different than this Vendetta and Resident Evil 7, because Resident Evil 7 is a whole new story. However, at the same time, Chris Redfield is somehow evolved in this, but has no relation, has no same case, any special case with Resident Evil Vendetta. So it is far apart. There is no connection. The only connection is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Revelations 1 and Revelations 2. No, Revelations 2 did not have any connection with this. Only I think Revelation 1 was somehow a little bit connected. So from Resident Evil 1 to 6 has a connection, including Resident Evil Revelation 1. So overall, let's go back to the voice acting for Damnation. Now, overall, Resident Evil Damnation is actually really good because Leon's voice actor is still the same as Degeneration and Vendetta. Leon's voice actor is good. Ada Wong's voice actor is also good. Very suiting. This guy's voice acting, who is I forgot his name. I think he's a Russian dude. His voice acting is also really good. I love it. And okay, so overall, I would say Degeneration's voice acting and Damnation's voice acting is good. Now, compared to Vendetta, I like Rebecca's voice and other voice actors. Rebecca's voice actor is super good. Leon's voice actor is really good. Except when it comes to Chris, no. It's horrifying. It's horrible. It doesn't have the gruff, like I said, it doesn't have the gruffy voice of John Cena. No, it does not. So let's go back in talking about the animation this time. Now, obviously, Resident Evil Vendetta's combat system is good, action is good, voice acting is good, except for Chris's. Chris's is terrible. There's a downside that I had to minus 1 point about that. Animation is so good. However, the facial expression for Chris and a little bit on Leon as well is a little bit bad. However, Rebecca's face expression is perfect. Chris's face reaction is stupid. I dislike about it. Leon is slightly okay, but there are some parts where he just kind of smiles for no reason, and there are some parts where he gives the kind of expression it doesn't really feel that good. But overall, Resident Evil Vendetta, the facial animation is good. Monster animation, the zombies, really good. Final boss, okay, not so bad. The final part where Chris has to where Leon and Chris has to deal with the final guy. Overall, the villain is also good. Now, let me talk about the villains. Now, I forgot to talk about this part because the villains is really important in this part. Now, Degeneration's villain is really obsolete. It's not so great. It's barely there. It barely passed. Basically, I'll give it a 55% slightly average, because Degeneration doesn't really have a strong villain. However, it is slightly good. So let's talk about Damnation. Now, Damnation's villain, who is the government, is actually really, really okay. I will give it a 70%, because the villain, the way she introduced herself was like, at first you feel like there's something fishy about her, but ended up you know the truth. It was like, whoa, it is super, super well done. But when it comes to Vendetta, Resident Evil Vendetta, it somehow feel like it's a lot more of an improvement, a little bit improvement from it's like a little bit of an improvement better than Damnation. Because why I say this is a little bit better than Damnation's villain introduction, because so far there are 3 bad guys in this film. I would say because the way he portrays about how he's crazy, how he's delusional, he's a little bit crazy, and he is also really of an interesting character. He has partners as well, who's also very interesting. The final fight when Chris and Leon has to deal with him is also really interesting. It's so far really good, and one pretty good actually on how they portray him, how the character for the villain is. I would say he's like another version of Albert Wesker actually. So let us talk about right now. Let us talk about the who am I gonna talk about again? Shit. The monsters. Yes. So far the monster design wasn't really that interesting. Overall, what I saw was just zombie dogs and just zombies. That's all. However, I just see a tyrant mixed with the villain, the main villain. It was like the Resident Evil 4 where Wesker makes himself out with the Ouroboros virus, and then it's like another version of Albert Wesker. But overall, the final scene was really good. And the monsters were okay. Here's the part: the monsters were a little bit of a disappointment. I was hoping that they will add in more BOWs and a little bit of scenes of zombies. Overall, I don't know. The zombie part was a little bit upsetting because they didn't really put much of a BOW in there. I was hoping they would add more, but they didn't. So it was really a little bit of a disappointment. So overall, I will rate this movie about 5 out of 10. Okay, 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10 because, like I said, the downfall part is how the animation, the facial animation for Leon and Chris, how they express their face expression to us. It was really bad. It was really quite bad. Except Leon has certain scenes where it's bad. Other than that, it was okay. Rebecca's okay. I forgot about this part. Now, the good thing also about Resident Evil Vendetta is how the characters' design look. Now, overall, Chris's design was really good. Okay, not bad, except for the facial part, how he expresses his own face at certain scenes and certain moments which are serious, how he expresses his facial. Like, there are some scenes where I have no idea if he's really joking around, like he's smiling at certain scenes, where the certain scenes are actually really important. I don't really get that part actually. But overall, the character design, like Rebecca is still my waifu. I love Rebecca. I seriously love her because how she is designed and how she acts, very innocent. She's also the main loving character throughout the entire Resident Evil series. I mean, I love Rebecca. I really do love her. So it's so good to see her back. It's so good to see Leon as well mixing around with our dear Rebecca and also Chris. However, a little bit disappointing because I'm a little bit disappointed in one scene where Rebecca was fighting with a few zombies. She should have had a little bit more skills. After all, she is a medic from the STAR team in Resident Evil 0. But it was really disappointing to see how Rebecca ended up not really fighting the military style. However, back then she was only 18 years old, basically just trying to survive from a zombie apocalyptic mansions and stuff like that. So overall, yeah, that's all I have to say for today. Resident Evil Vendetta 5 out of 10. It will be an average because I don't give it a 10 out of 10. I would just give it a 5 out of 10 because it is slightly good. It was really slightly an improvement, but at the same time a little disappointing at certain scenes. However, it is good. So without further ado, thank you all guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoy. Please forgive me for not putting any animation because for me, I really don't know how to do animation. Sorry guys, I'm really sorry about that. So yeah, make sure you write on the comment section below. Like I said, there is Resident Evil Vendetta is basically like a standalone movie. It's something like it has no connection with Resident Evil 7. However, it's only connected during the past, like Raccoon City and stuff like that. It's only connected in that era, in those 6 series, from Resident Evil 0 to Resident Evil 6, from Revelation 1 only there. Revelation 2 has no connection to Resident Evil Vendetta because Resident Evil Revelation 2 was somehow a little bit separated. So yeah, also Resident Evil 7 has no connection with Vendetta. Let me repeat myself again. Resident Evil 7 has no connection with this movie. So hope you guys enjoy. Please give a big thumbs up. I'll see you guys on the next video. Don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to write in the comment section below just to give me more ideas, give me more theories about what is connected, why does he have to do this, why he have to do that, and stuff like that. So please write in the comment section below. Tell me what you guys think. So if you guys enjoy, please give me a thumbs up. I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye bye.